Welcome to Home Care Business Insights, your go-to resource for exploring the many aspects of running a successful home care business. Whether you're an industry pro, new entrepreneur, or just curious about the industry, this podcast offers strategies, tips, and solutions to help you succeed. While AI-generated voices host the episodes, the insights are real and designed with your growth in mind. Let's dive into what matters most in building a thriving home care business. Now let's hear from our AI hosts.
You know, what if the most valuable business skill of the next decade isn't coding or, prompt engineering or analyzing big data? What if the ultimate market differentiator is actually just the ability to sit quietly in a living room, look someone in the eye, and hold their hand?
I mean, it sounds so counterintuitive, right? Especially when we were just constantly bombarded with headlines about automation taking over the world.
Oh, totally. Every day there's a new AI tool.
Exactly. But when you look at the data, that physical, emotional presence, it's actually becoming the rarest commodity in the modern economy.
Which is wild to think about. And honestly, that is exactly what we are unpacking today. So welcome to Home Care Business Insights.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we are doing a deep dive today into a stack of industry research, some operational guidelines, and market data from Caring Senior Service. And if you are listening to this, you are likely exploring entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
You're looking closely at the home care industry. So our mission today is to figure out why, in a world that really feels like it's being rapidly eaten by artificial intelligence, why human-centered businesses are actually positioned to matter more than they ever have before.
It really is this fascinating paradox. I mean, AI is fundamentally rewiring how businesses operate, from supply chains to customer service. That's just undeniable at this point.
Oh, for sure.
But the research we're looking at today paints this very specific picture. Technology is stripping away the administrative friction, which is, ironically, isolating and elevating the one thing software cannot replicate.
Genuine human connection.
Exactly.
Right, because we always picture this perfectly humming factory line of the future, where algorithms anticipate every need and the whole operation just basically runs itself.
Which sounds great on paper.
Right, and that sounds incredibly efficient if you're manufacturing cars or routing packages. But non-medical home care doesn't happen on a factory floor. It happens in a family's living room. It's a landscape that is deeply, beautifully, and sometimes just painfully human. So, okay, let's unpack this. To figure out where the real business opportunity lies for you as a potential franchise owner, we need to map out exactly where the technology stops and the human element takes over.
I think the best place to start is by looking at what AI is actually doing well in this space right now, because we really shouldn't dismiss the technology.
No, not at all.
When it's applied correctly in a franchise system, AI is the ultimate efficiency engine. The underlying mechanism of AI is pattern recognition, right? And data processing at a scale that no human can ever match.
Okay, so let's ground that in reality for a second. What does that actually look like for a local owner who is just trying to run their day-to-day operations?
Well, just think about the sheer volume of logistics required to run a home care business. You have dozens of caregivers, hundreds of clients, and thousands of very specific requirements.
It's a lot to juggle.
It's a massive puzzle. A human scheduler could spend hours playing this really frustrating game of Tetris, trying to match a caregiver's availability with the client's needs.
And you have to factor in drive times and personality preferences.
Skill sets, exactly. But an AI algorithm uses constraint programming to analyze all those variables in milliseconds.
Wow.
Yeah, it identifies historical traffic patterns to ensure caregivers aren't late. It flags when a caregiver is approaching overtime. It can even spot a subtle trend in a client's changing schedule needs way before the human eye would ever catch it.
So it's drastically reducing that manual, repetitive workload. It's doing the heavy lifting of just organizing the business.
Precisely.
It makes me think of a theater production. The AI is essentially the ultimate backstage manager. It makes sure the props are in the right place, the lighting cues are programmed, and the schedules are insanely tight so no one misses their entrance.
Oh, I like that. That's a great way to conceptualize it. The backstage manager ensures the environment is perfect. But, and this is where the business model really pivots, the backstage manager never steps out onto the stage to perform the play.
Right. The audience didn't buy a ticket to see a really well-organized clipboard.
Yeah.
They came to see the performance.
And in home care, the performance is the actual delivery of compassionate care. I mean, efficiency alone does not deliver a great care experience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Having the caregiver arrive exactly on time with the right paperwork, that's just the baseline expectation. That's table stakes. The true value of the business, like the reason a family stays with you and recommends you to others, it comes from how that client and their family feel throughout the process.
So AI improves the mechanics of the business, but it can never become the business itself.
Exactly.
Because the product itself is so incredibly personal. Families aren't just, purchasing transportation to a doctor's appointment or someone to prep meals for the week.
Right. If that's all they wanted, they could just use a ride-sharing app or a meal delivery service.
Exactly. They are inviting a complete stranger into their home, and they are trusting them with someone who is physically or cognitively vulnerable. That is a massive leap of faith.
It is a profound level of trust. And what's fascinating here is that trust is fundamentally unautomatable.
Unautomatable. I like that word.
This is where we really have to draw a hard line between data processing and emotional intelligence. A machine processes inputs and generates an output based on probability, right? But a human being shares a lived reality.
Right.
When a caregiver sits with a client, they are doing so much more than executing a checklist of daily living activities. They're listening to stories, sharing a laugh, offering encouragement.
Yeah, just being present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They know when a senior needs active engagement, and they know when they just need a quiet, dignified presence in the room.
I do want to push back on that a little bit, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because if you read the tech blogs right now, they are constantly talking about AI sentiment analysis.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Algorithms are being trained to analyze tone of voice or micro expressions on a person's face. So couldn't a sophisticated AI theoretically learn to detect when a senior is feeling sad or withdrawn?
It's a common argument, for sure, but it really conflates two very different mechanisms. Yes, an algorithm can map the pixels of a facial expression to a database of emotions, or measure acoustic stress in a vocal cord.
Okay.
It can generate an alert that says, probability of distress, 85%. But flagging a physiological data point is not the same thing as actually possessing context, judgment, and compassion.
Break that down for me. What's the difference in a real-world scenario?
Okay, imagine a senior client grimaces and says, "I'm fine, just leave me alone today."
Ouch. Okay.
Right. An AI might detect the grimace and the harsh tone, logging it as anger or maybe physical pain.
Okay, so the AI thinks they're just mad.
Right. But a human caregiver who has been visiting that home for 6 months has context. They know the senior just watched a television commercial that reminds them of their late spouse. They know the senior isn't angry. They are grieving. The caregiver knows to gently adjust their approach, maybe brew a cup of tea, and just sit nearby without forcing a conversation.
That is a massive distinction.
Yeah. The machine detects a signal, but the human understands the soul behind the signal.
You just can't program shared vulnerability.
Yeah.
A machine has never felt grief or fear or physical pain, so any empathy it tries to simulate is always going to feel kind of hollow to a human being who is experiencing the real thing.
And in a crisis, simulated empathy actually breeds resentment.
Oh, absolutely. Like when you're on the phone with an automated robot and you're already stressed.
It's the worst. People want to be understood by someone who actually knows what it means to be human.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break here, but when we come back, we'll dive into how this human element impacts the entire family dynamic, not just the client.
If you've been thinking about business ownership, one question probably comes to mind. Is this the right industry? It's a fair question. Some industries rise and fall with trends. Others become more essential over time. Home care is one of them. No matter what the economy is doing, families still need help caring for aging loved ones. And as our population continues to age, that need is only growing. That's one of the reasons more entrepreneurs are exploring home care. It's a business built around a real human need, not the latest trend. And with the franchise model, you're not building it alone. You have proven systems, ongoing support, and a roadmap designed to help you succeed in a growing industry. If you're looking for a business that combines purpose with long-term opportunity, home care may be worth exploring. Let's have a conversation. Book a quick call with us at caringfranchise.com. We'll answer your questions, explain how the franchise model works, and help you decide whether it's the right fit for your goals.
All right, we are back. So before the break, we were talking about emotional intelligence.
Right. And, the need for this deep emotional intelligence, it extends way beyond the senior receiving the care. It impacts the entire family ecosystem.
Oh, for sure. If you think about the incredibly vulnerable state of a family who is making that initial phone call to a home care company, I mean, they are rarely calling on a good day.
No, almost never.
Usually a sudden decline has happened, a fall, a new diagnosis. They are operating in total crisis mode.
Yeah, they are dealing with intense stress, uncertainty about the future, and very often this crushing sense of guilt that they can no longer handle the caregiving themselves.
That's a deeply fraught emotional state. Now, put an automated system in the middle of that crisis.
Right. A highly efficient AI chatbot on a website might be able to answer factual questions about hourly rates or service boundaries instantly.
Sure.
But it cannot reassure a terrified daughter who lives 3 states away. It cannot provide the emotional safety net she is desperately looking for.
It actually feels almost insulting in that moment, doesn't it? To be pouring your heart out about your declining father, and you get a pop-up that says, I understand you are feeling sad. Here's a link to our pricing tier.
It's completely alienating. Families in that situation need a human being who will listen patiently. They need a professional who can absorb their anxiety, validate those really complex feelings of guilt, and help them confidently chart a path forward.
So true.
That human conversation builds confidence in a way a digital interface simply cannot. They need to know, on a very human level, that the people walking into their mother's house are dependable and kind.
And, if you are listening to this as a prospective franchisee, this dynamic is exactly why local ownership is so critical to the business model.
Absolutely.
You aren't just buying a territory and running software from a remote island. You are becoming a trusted, accountable member of your specific community.
You're putting your name out there.
Right. You are the one building face-to-face relationships with hospital discharge planners, local doctors, community organizations. When you sit down in a family's living room, you are looking them in the eye and giving them your personal word that their loved one will be safe.
And that concept of accountability, that is the bedrock of any service-based business. Algorithms don't have reputations to protect in a local community. Human owners do.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
And that transitions perfectly into the internal side of the business, your role as a leader. Because here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
If this immense empathy and accountability are required for the clients, who is building the culture that actually delivers it?
Right, because caregivers don't just naturally absorb a company culture out of thin air. It has to be modeled for them. You have to lead the team.
And AI cannot assume responsibility. I mean, it can offer you a dashboard of analytics. It can even suggest possible solutions to a scheduling conflict, but it cannot lead.
Right.
Strong leadership in a home care business requires immense emotional intelligence. You have to set cultural expectations, resolve interpersonal conflicts, recognize when an employee is burning out, and make incredibly difficult ethical decisions.
Because the reality of home care is that it almost never follows a predictable script. The real world is messy.
Exactly. Home care is full of unscripted scenarios. Family members will fiercely disagree with each other about a care plan right in front of your staff.
Oh, wow.
Or a caregiver will experience a sudden personal emergency at 5 a.m. and not be able to make their shift. A referral partner might need a highly complex, outside-the-box solution for a patient being discharged early.
Let's take that 5 a.m. call-out scenario, actually.
Okay.
If the business is purely run by an automated system, the AI registers that the caregiver didn't clock in. It might auto-generate a disciplinary warning based on the attendance policy and then just systematically ping other caregivers to fill the shift.
Which is logistically efficient but emotionally disastrous.
Right.
A human leader looks at that same scenario and applies judgment. The leader calls the caregiver and finds out, maybe their child is in the emergency room.
Yeah.
The leader expresses immediate concern, assures the caregiver their job is safe, and then personally calls the client to apologize for the disruption and explain the backup plan.
That's a huge difference.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the human leader considers how a decision impacts everyone emotionally. They adapt when circumstances pivot abruptly.
And most importantly, they accept responsibility. You can't compute your way out of a family argument over care. A machine cannot look an employee in the eye and say, I have your back.
No, it can't.
Or look a client in the eye and say, we made a mistake today, and here is how I am personally going to fix it.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility is the defining trait of leadership.
It is. Employees follow leaders who understand their human challenges, not a software dashboard that just tracks their metrics.
Yeah.
You have to create an environment where caregivers feel genuinely valued so they can pass that value on to the clients. The technology is a tool to give the leader more time to do that emotional labor. It is not the leader itself.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring all these operational, emotional, and leadership realities together. If you are looking at this franchise opportunity, how should you view the future of this industry in an automated world?
I think you have to view technology and human connection as complementary forces, not opposing enemies.
Yeah.
The narrative that you have to choose between being, high tech or high touch, it's just false.
It's a false dichotomy.
Exactly. The strongest home care businesses in the future are going to use AI aggressively. They will use it to strip away every ounce of administrative burden, optimize their routing, and manage their data.
Right.
And they do that precisely so they can invest all of their saved time and energy into the things software cannot reproduce.
That makes total sense. And a franchise system like Caring Senior Service gives you that technological foundation, right?
Right.
They provide the modern tech stack, the established operational processes, the marketing infrastructure. You don't have to build the efficiency engine from scratch, but you and the local team you hire are required to provide the heart.
And that heart is going to be your ultimate market differentiator.
Yeah.
Think about your own life as a consumer over the last few years. We are all experiencing a collective frustration with generic automated interactions.
Oh, absolutely. We know when we are being herded through a robotic decision tree instead of receiving personalized attention. We hate the endless phone menus, like press 1 if you are slowly losing your mind.
It's exhausting. And because of that widespread consumer frustration, people deeply remember the businesses that actually listen to them.
That's a really good point.
As automated interactions become the cheap, standard baseline in banking, retail, and food service, businesses that offer genuine empathy, accountability, and local personal relationships, they're going to stand out remarkably.
Because personal service is becoming rare, which automatically makes it premium and incredibly valuable.
Exactly.
That's a really encouraging perspective for anyone considering entrepreneurship right now. Because, the rapid advances in AI are definitely creating anxiety. People are wondering what industries will even survive the next 10 or 20 years.
Oh, for sure.
But human-centered service businesses offer this incredibly compelling answer. They address fundamental human needs that code simply cannot touch.
Right. Software cannot grant a senior dignity. It cannot provide companionship to someone who is isolated. It cannot offer deep reassurance to a frightened family. None of those things can be downloaded or automated. AI will organize the work, but people will always have to build the trust.
I love that. AI gives you the time and the space to be more human. That is really the core thesis of everything we've looked at today in this deep dive. We've explored the tension between the frictionless factory line and the messy reality of living room.
Yeah.
And it turns out the messy reality is where all the value is.
It really is. But I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over, kind of building on the family dynamics we discussed earlier.
Okay.
We talked about how this care provides a stressed family with peace of mind. But this raises an important question. If we dig a little deeper into the psychology of that, in a future that is going to be incredibly obsessed with productivity and automation, what if the most valuable product your business offers might not actually be the physical care itself?
Wait, what do you mean? What's more valuable than the care?
The restoration of identity.
The restoration of identity. Wow. Okay, unpack that.
Think about a woman who has spent the last 2 years acting as a 247 medical manager for her declining father.
Right.
She manages his meds, his meals, his bathroom trips. She has entirely lost her relationship with him as a daughter because she is just completely consumed by the role of caregiver.
Yeah, she's just a nurse at that point.
Right. But when your business steps into that home and provides exceptional, trustworthy care, you are giving her a profound gift. You are giving her the freedom to simply be a daughter again. You are giving a husband the chance to be a spouse again instead of a medical attendant. You are restoring their fundamental human identity.
That is heavy. You're giving them their lives back and you're giving them their relationship back before time runs out.
Exactly. That is an intensely meaningful, uniquely human gift. No software update, no predictive algorithm, and no artificial intelligence will ever be able to compute or deliver that kind of emotional restoration. It requires a human being stepping into the living room.
That is an incredibly powerful thought to end on. You aren't just managing tasks, you are restoring families. It turns out the more automated the world gets, the more we desperately need people willing to do the human work. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
Thank you.
We hope this exploration has given you a powerful new perspective as you continue evaluating your entrepreneurial journey with caring senior service. Until next time, keep looking for the human connection.